Flyers about to start a pivotal stretch this weekend in their push towards their first playoff appearance since 2020, and it's still unclear who exactly is going to be in the lineup on Saturday when they face off against the New York Rangers. Red hot New York Rangers on a pretty long winning streak right now, tops in the Metropolitan Division. It's only the start of what's going to be this very, very important stretch. I'm Charlie O'Connor with PHLY Sports, reporting from the Flyers Training Center in Voorhees. Flyers back on the ice for practice today on Friday morning in anticipation of that matinee showdown against the Rangers at the Wells Fargo Center on Saturday afternoon. Start with the good news. Tyson Foerster has been on the ice for the past week, but he's been in a non-contact jersey. Today, he was wearing a normal jersey on a line with Scott Laughton and Nick Deslauriers. It does seem like he is on the way back from that foot injury that he suffered last week that kept him out of the Stadium Series game and also Wednesday's game against the Chicago Blackhawks as well. Foerster, look, he's a talented rookie. He obviously has scoring upside, hasn't been scoring as much as maybe people want him to. However, if you're looking at the advanced metrics, if you're looking at his two-way play, he's been a key part of this team. His absence has definitely hurt. On Wednesday, the Flyers did defeat the Chicago Blackhawks, but John Tortorella was only really happy with one of the team's lines, that line of Noah Cates, Ryan Poehling, and Garden Hathaway. So getting Foerster back could potentially give those lines a boost heading into this stretch. As I mentioned, kicks off with the Rangers on Saturday. Then they go to Pittsburgh the next day on Sunday to play the Penguins. They're reeling a bit, but they are very much still in the playoff race. Then you get a tough matchup against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Then they go to Washington to face off against another team in the Capitals that's in the playoff hunt in the East. So it's 4 straight games against legitimate contenders or teams that the Flyers are directly battling with for a playoff spot. They'd certainly love to have Tyson Foerster back for these games. Foerster seems confident he will be able to play on Saturday. Doesn't know for sure. Has to get that final clearance from the training staff. John Tortorella said something similar. Said he hadn't talked to the trainer quite yet after practice today. When we spoke with him after practice, about maybe 40 minutes after practice, said he didn't know for sure. But he said getting Foerster back would be huge. He had really been starting to rely upon him, not just in terms of his general usage, but looking down the bench and saying, I need someone for an extra shift. Maybe give that to Tyson. Loves the fact that Foerster is that great two-way player, wins battles along the boards, can play left wing and right wing, so has the versatility element. If I had to guess, I think Foerster will play on Saturday in this big game against the Rangers, and John Tortorella is going to be very happy if he is indeed cleared. The bad news, Travis Konecny left practice early today, which is concerning, obviously. Travis Konecny, the Flyers' top scorer, almost certainly their best player. What I will say is it didn't look that serious. I noticed there was a play about the middle of practice where Konecny went in on a breakaway. Mark Stahl was kind of checking him a little from behind. Wasn't dirty or anything, just a little contact, nothing major. And after the rush, Konecny just came up flexing a little bit, just looked a little bit uncomfortable. Stayed on the ice for another 5 or so minutes, but then went off the ice. He talked to a trainer, so it was abundantly clear this was some type of issue. To me, it just looked like a tweak. Didn't look like anything terribly serious. John Tortorella didn't provide an update after practice, said he just wasn't sure, hadn't talked to the trainer yet, same thing he said about Tyson Foerster. To me, it didn't look that serious, but it's Travis Konecny. He's a really important player for the Flyers, maybe the most important player for the Flyers. So I totally get why people are concerned. I guess we'll just have to see tomorrow if Travis Konecny is indeed in the lineup, because they're going to need him against a team like the Rangers. Another guy who missed practice today, Jamie Drysdale. He was a no-show. Looks like it's just a maintenance day. John Tortorella confirmed that Drysdale is good to go for Saturday. It does seem, though, that Jamie Drysdale is a bit banged up. Number one, to get a maintenance day after a full day off like Thursday was, it raises some red flags. Jackie Spiegel of the Philadelphia Inquirer reported on Twitter today that she spoke with Danny Briere on the road trip, and Danny did acknowledge that Drysdale is a bit banged up. Whether this is related to the injury that kept him out when he was still with the Anaheim Ducks, or if it's a new one, not sure. But it does look like it's likely of the lower body variety. Just doesn't look as quick as he normally does. Drysdale, obviously, when he's at full health, truly an elite skater. He just hasn't had that same jump recently. So expect Drysdale to play, but maybe keep an eye out to try to identify what he might be dealing with. As I said, though, schedule definitely taking a more difficult turn for the Flyers. Talked to John Tortorella about it because if you remember back in December, he noted that you don't really learn everything about your team until January, February, where you get into the grind. Well, the Flyers are in the grind, and they're hanging in. They're still in a playoff spot. They still have, honestly, a decent amount of breathing room over the New Jersey Devils. The Devils lost last night to that same Rangers team, so the Flyers still up by 7 points over the Devils in the standings. The Devils are the most obvious team chasing the Flyers. But the Flyers are hanging on in this grind. Talked to John Tortorella today, though. He just said it's going to be a whole different level the rest of the way. They took the step up into the grind, holding their own. Now they reach the playoff push area of the schedule. He said, look, it's not even just the teams battling for a playoff spot. The teams like the Flyers don't know if they're in or out, but know they have to up their game to lock down a spot. It's also the teams that know they're making the playoffs. They're preparing to make sure that they're ready for playoff intensity, so they up their games as well. He said it's just a different pace, it's a different intensity, and he's going to learn a lot about his team, particularly, I think, the young guys, by how the group plays over this final 6-week stretch. Obviously, we have the trade deadline coming on March 8th as well, which will add just a little bit more drama to the proceedings. But keep an eye out later today. We are interviewing President of Hockey Operations, Keith Jones, on our daily show this Friday afternoon. We'll have a standalone version of the interview up on YouTube as well with Jonesy. But expect there to be quite a few questions about the looming deadline and how the Flyers might approach it. I'm Charlie O'Connor of PHLY Sports. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
We all silly like the mayor.